Well, tonight, right on a sad note, we begin our stories on an alleged murder. Well, you may find portions of our visuals disturbing. Our apologies for that. We advise viewer discretion there. Well, the police in Accra have arrested one suspect as investigations continue into the alleged murder of an immigration officer over a large sum of unexplained cash. Well, the officer, who was initially declared missing, was later found dead on Wednesday, July 9. Well, more in the following Security Desk report.
The Accra Regional Police Command is investigating the suspected murder of Stephen King Amwa, an immigration officer who was reported missing on July 4, 2025. Hope of finding him alive was dashed after his burnt body was discovered on July 9 in a gutter near GBC Satellite, opposite Comet Estate in Accra. The charged body was taken to the police hospital morgue, where it was positively identified by family members. Investigations revealed that on the night of July 3, Amwa left his home in Ashongmang Estate after receiving WhatsApp images of cash bundles from a man identified as Bright Aware. Bright had asked to meet the deceased at a local spot to settle an outstanding debt. Amwa never returned home and his phone remained switched off. Police arrested Bright Aware, who confessed to giving the deceased 500,000 cedis in cash. He claimed Amwa was to use part of the money to pay debts and keep the rest for later collection. However, Bright could not explain the source of the funds and gave conflicting statements during questioning. The Accra Regional Police Command says it is working tirelessly to bring all those responsible to justice. The command is also urging the public to share any information related to the case by contacting the nearest police station or calling the emergency numbers 18555 or 192.
Well, still on the story, the family of the murdered immigration officer Stephen King Amwa has been speaking out following his tragic death. Here is the family spokesperson, Akwesi Amwako.
Yesterday we just find out that he is no more with us. In fact, we are not in ourselves. All the family is down. So we are just pleading to Ghana police to help us to get justice to this. He called him to come for the money, as we all know. So he went there. You know, it's not easy if someone is owing you and you are in trouble. Anytime that person will call you, you will not hesitate to follow him. The guy, as at now, he's not saying anything. He said he's just helping my brother to pay his debt, which he's trying to say that he doesn't have any business doing with him, which is totally false. If it Isunia Rewonkwa na yewu. Ofifie enyumre no a okoye no. Ofifie be 8 o'clock by 8:42. Na me ami nwen phone asend message akoma nipa miensa na yere ene ne yonko phone mienu bi. I finally got home. Right out gave me all the money, 500,000 Ghana cedi, and gave me all the passports. So I'm home. I will call you tomorrow morning. This is the message he sent to his wife. And it also something I don't even believe. My brother would never send such a message.
Well, we will follow and bring you more details as the story continues to unfold. We're bringing you another disturbing story. Viewer discretion is advised. Well, a suspected ritual murder has led police to the Volta region to a chilling discovery of multiple human remains buried beneath idols at a shrine in central Tongo. Well, the breakthrough follows the disappearance of a 28-year-old man whose death has now exposed what could be a wider network of ritual killings.
A police investigation into the suspected ritual killing of 28-year-old Nelson Ayana has led the Ghana Police Service to unearth multiple human remains at the shrine in Glokope in the Central Tong district of the Volta region. The search, led by the Homicide Unit, began after Nelson's mother, Comfort Hache, reported him missing in December last year. Nelson had left home to meet Agustina Piaoyife but never returned. Police discovered Nelson's body buried beneath idols at the shrine. 3 additional skeletal remains and other human body parts were also found in nearby bushes suspected to belong to other victims. So far, 6 suspects have been unemployed. Wisdom.
The Commission's engagement with the MPP and the NDC was to build consensus on the completion of the parliamentary election in the Ablekuma North constituency due to the stalemate. It is obvious from the above narration that the Commission's efforts have yielded no results. It is also important to note that the collation process in the Ablekuma North parliamentary election has been transparent, participatory, and accountable. The agents of the political parties have been present throughout the collation, as was the media. The media have provided coverage of the entire process on each day that the collation took place. The evidence of the transparent and open process is on record. The Commission's attention has been drawn to an unfounded accusation that it has been influenced by certain individuals to pursue the rerun. We state categorically that Ghana's electoral management body is an independent body and will not be dictated to by any person or institution. Our track record speaks for itself.
All right, so Dr. Bosman Asare has also been speaking about the Commission's expectation of security as he reviews some staff have expressed concerns about their safety.
The Police Service and the National Election Security Task Force have assured the Commission of their readiness to ensure security before, during, and after the rerun. We count on them to guarantee that lives and property are protected and that voters and our staff who work in a safe and conducive environment tomorrow. The aftermath of the 7th December election, the processes to complete the collation in 12 constituencies have created fear, not only in our staff, but voters in general. We trust that the police and the National Election Security Task Force will provide the needed security before, during, and after the process so we can vote and work in peace. On our part, as the electoral management body, we are desirous of bringing the election in the Ablekuma North constituency to a conclusion and to ensure that the constituents have a representative in Parliament.
Well, allow us to stay in Ablekuma North because we remain that official station that will be bringing you all the details on the coverage of the election. Our men are on the ground, our cameras are stationed there, and we'll be filling you in on all the details. Yes, still there, the New Patriotic Party has been campaigning in the Ablekuma North constituency ahead of the parliamentary rerun scheduled for Friday, July 11, 2025. Well, the rerun, which affects 19 polling stations, was ordered by the Electoral Commission, that's the EC, to address disputes over the authenticity of results from the December 2024 general elections. Well, earlier, the party's General Secretary, Justin Kodia-Frimpong, announced a boycott of the process, insisting that the parliamentary candidate, that's Nana Akua-Afurye, was the legitimate winner of the contest. Well, he also argued that the EC was engaged in an illegality. Well, the party's change of course comes just a day after the High Court in Accra dismissed an application filed by Nana Akua-Afurye seeking to halt the rerun. My colleague Obed King-Gaglo was in the constituency and he's come through with this report.
With less than 24 hours to the rerun of some 19 polling stations in the Ablekuma North constituency, the MPP has begun active campaign in the constituency. Contrary to claims made by General Secretary of the MPP ahead of tomorrow's elections that the MPP will not be part of the rerun, some constituents were seen campaigning for the MPP parliamentary candidate, Akua-Afurye.
First, no crowd here. You got 2 years. Or NDC no enya abia na ben ho. Na we ya be tuni mu mo. Na we hu say oni nya sem bia nka. Ya be to ma nyina ya ka tie wo mo atutu aba say obi MP mra. Enti wo mo nyina be pia ba be to aba no. Enti ya be tuni mu be 2 million kra. Ya be tuni mu be 2 million vote. Enti oni asem bia obeka wo.
MPP for I want to abide ye Emma honorable equia free. Omumpia bontenem rameto, be beer ni way besi basabasa beer and see. Send your ten beer to abide your tone camano, na and I'm saying to ye better. And to where would deem woman be a baby, I would to a baby, a mesre, as so be a bequanwa quatunaba, kama.
Parliamentary candidates for the New Patriotic Party for the Ablekuma North constituency, GHOne Free, also addressed the press conference expressing strong opposition against the announcement by General Secretary of the party, Justin Frimpong, to boycott the rerun.
Darkness can never cover light. I am the light. Yes. I am the truth and the light. Yes. I walk with gracious God. I keep saying and mentioning God all the time that you can never cheat me and go scot-free. When I realized that the support is so massive, people were coming here asking me to contest, not to withdraw. They are going to vote for me and that they voted for me, and so I shouldn't relent. My dear, I won. I am not afraid of anybody. Yeah. I am a politician. Yes. I am standing firm and go through this contest. And trust me, tomorrow you hear my name. The MP elect in Ablekuma North is Nana Ekuya Owusu every year.
The latest developments by the MPP parliamentary candidate, Madam GHOne Free, to openly defy the directive of national executives of the MPP to contest tomorrow's rerun signifies the fierce nature of the contest. From the Methodist Church St. Peter's Society, which is one of the 19 polling stations for the rerun, Obed Kingaglo for GHOne News.
Well, still on the elections, leader of Friends of Nana Free, Labaran Abdullahi, is rallying voters in Ablekuma North to stand up for democracy as the constituency heads for the polls tomorrow. Well, speaking on behalf of supporters of Nana Free, he emphasized that the voice of the people must take precedence over party interests. Well, he urged all well-meaning constituents, floating voters, and defenders of democracy values to turn out in their numbers and cast their ballots boldly and peacefully for the MPP candidates.
We do not agree with the decision of the Electoral Commission to rerun the parliamentary elections in Ablekuma North. This decision, in our view, sets a dangerous and unprecedented precedent, one that implies that elections in Ghana can be won not by the ballot, but by bullets. Not by the will of the people, but by the might of those who destroy election materials once the results do not favor them. If we allow this decision to stand without resistance, we risk eroding the very foundation of democracy, where electoral outcomes are respected and where violence is not rewarded. Our call to action: while we acknowledge the position taken by the New Patriotic Party, we believe that the voice of the people, the general electorate, must always supersede party interests. No political party, no matter how dominant, can win an election without the trust and support of their votes. Therefore, we are calling on all friends, supporters, and sympathizers of Honorable Nana Free, all well-meaning constituents of Ablekuma North, all defenders of democracy, to come out in your numbers tomorrow and cast your votes boldly, not just in support of Honorable Nana Free, but in defense of democracy, peace, and the rights of the people to choose their leaders without fear or intimidation.
All right, so MPP sympathizers there in Ablekuma North. Let's look at the other side, because the NDC's Irabna Obing are optimistic of a win. Let's go back to the constituency and get more.
Definitely, I must vote for Irabna Obing. Ablekuma North had remained a bona fide property of the New Patriotic Party since 1996. Whether they come or they don't come, we will go ahead and vote. I have sacrificed the whole of this week to work for Irabna Obing because he's exceptional. I am telling you, we, the older age, we know it is the time for the youth. And she's also a youth. So she knows the worries and the problems of the youth. And she's dealing directly with it.
Already, JMPG, you fake no fiano, on a year. No one smaller. Koneba walk a one nabi, Kagbe can be a fan, no tomorrow, yano. On a year, no tower, rubber, obi, never standing how, no quarrel. Why Yembe no quarrel.
Last year no and early last year no I had said nya some ketwa ti e bon pa say police for no sanya man omunya mom bra na mbeboan wa because last year na St. Peter's Methodist odoko buzia Tarazo Road on side no na enya some ketwa so ye bon pa say bibia anya kama eye nyame admochina
yes e be say yanto no say ye kwan no enya youth ye fie ye real school ye nya juma nye yenye juma nye isi enim se ye wogide onim se obankwa dia bibia be fine etini eto ama number 2 movement so a rabna obin number 2.
All right, you'd want to get more updates on this particular election. Let's engage political scientist at Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, Professor Samuel Edujemfi, for more on this development. Thanks, Prof, for joining us this evening. First of all, let me find out from you. So we engaged you the day the MPP decided to withdraw from the rerun. Surprised about the turn of events now?
What do you mean by surprised? That they are coming into the race or
Absolutely.
What? Hello?
Yes, are you surprised they are coming back into the race?
No, that is what they should do. That is what they ought to do. That is what they should pursue in a quest to remobilize their base. It is essential that such a contest in this context would enable them to be able to at least mobilize their ranks within the constituency. It has its own implications for wider national arrangement.
Interesting. But then, the MPP doesn't tell us if its claim of the EC being manipulated by the governing NDC has changed yet. They've not said anything. Neither has it told us if the claim of the EC being involved in an illegality has changed. How will these allegations impact the integrity of the elections?
What the MPP says is much ado about nothing so far as this issue is concerned. You would agree with me that when a party is in power, they denigrate, they, to an extent, try to paint the Electoral Commission black. In many ways, subjective though, they try to critique the Electoral Commission as if it were, in bed with the government in power. And when the government is not, when the party is not in power, they assume that another which is in power has taken over to dictate what the Electoral Commission and in many respects what the commissioner should do or ought to do. It's quite shambolic. It is quite a shameful thing that we subject the Electoral Commission to. Even though I agree that the commission and the commissioners owe this country a certain duty of care to ensure that there is due diligence, to ensure that they have properly, operating with the right administrative procedures and measures, deliver an election result that is unencumbered, even with some challenges. It should be free and fair. And that duty requires some commitment and some dexterity, among other things, to, pick the right caliber of persons to represent the commission at respective, polling stations, to be able to at least record and keep record and present this record to the appropriate courtesies or officers. And when we come to a juncture like this, such documentation would allow the due process the Electoral Commission would be embarking upon to suffice in many ways to deliver the right outcomes.
All right.
This is not
so,
what
Prof,
we have seen.
Yes, you talk about deliver the right outcome. But let me find out from you. So share with us your candid expectations of tomorrow's rerun. Definitely we will be engaging you, but share with us your expectations.
I'm expecting that tomorrow the good people in the constituency will wake up very early with excitement even though we are looking at only 19 polling stations, we are looking at the entire constituency being charged up, excited with some sense of euphoria, with the expectation that they are candidates, either to the left or right. Here, I do not want to define whether party A or B to the left or right would be able to win. The process, the outcome, would at least give them a respite and allow them to keep on hoping and believing that their representative in parliament would be able to support them, in ensuring that the government would deliver the public good and would also support in serving as a check to the executive whilst in parliament.
All right, Prof. Thank you very much for your time this evening. Definitely tomorrow we would be engaging you further. Well, let's just get some updates on security tomorrow at Ablekuma North. And here, the Accra North Regional Police Command has announced a series of security measures to ensure peace. The plan includes certain strategic barriers to prevent unauthorized access to polling centers. The Accra Regional Police Command has appealed to the public to fully cooperate with security personnel, follow electoral guidelines, and help ensure a peaceful election atmosphere. Or 192 and the police will come to their aid. That's about all we have for you. Police will come to their aid. That's about all we have for you. So that's about all we have for you on Insight tonight, but we still have some more local stories to stay with. We have for you on Insight tonight, but we still have some more local stories to stay with us. We're back shortly. The program is News Tonight. All right, so we thank you for keeping faith with us. This is News Tonight. Some more local stories in here. International law expert Professor Kweku Echia has slammed the U.S. government's new visa restriction on Ghanaian travelers. Well, he believes it's a decision informed by racism and xenophobia. Speaking earlier on GH Today, he explained the move undermines academic mobility and has sparked a backlash even within U.S. universities. Well, his comments come on the back of a new U.S. visa policy, which limits Muslims and business travels to a single entry valid for 3 months. Well, this is in sharp contrast to the previous 5-year multiple entry validity.
Approach that the U.S. government is taking is wrong, and it has received a lot of backlash, even among the universities, U.S. universities and other scholars and academics, and people from other across boundaries to study, to research, to do training, to attend conferences, and so on. It is informed more by a perspective that is racist motivated. It can be xenophobic, and for that matter, it is not biased. It is not fair, and it's biased. And that is what is important for the U.S. to take into account and to realize how much in the end it will actually lose when this process, these rules begin to apply.
All right, so the international law expert also said the move should serve as a wake-up call for African governments.
It's also an opportunity for African governments in particular to realize that most of the students who travel outside do so because of limited educational opportunities, how we treat our graduate students and so on, which compels some of them to travel outside the country for further studies. And so if we improve our own conditions here, it will attract more students to study here, because it is not everybody that goes outside and have opportunity after graduation to earn a better living or enter into academia and so on. Some end up on the streets, some end up doing menial jobs. So some would prefer to have studied here. So it's up to governments of Ghana and other African countries to make sure that they pay more attention to university education and to invest in it and to provide money for research and so on, so that to attract students to study here.
All right, so we want to stay on the subject some more. Let's go over the phone lines and engage President of the National Union of Ghana Students. I'm talking about news, Daniel Botche here. Daniel, thank you very much for your time this evening. So share with us, I mean, sometimes when students get the opportunity to travel out of the country, share with us what are some of the reasons that you were picking up, indicating that it makes them overstay their time.
Yeah, good evening and good evening to listeners. Usually, when it comes to students studying abroad, there are a myriad of reasons why many students want to study abroad, being Ghanaian students. One key reason is the opportunity to travel and possibly look for greener pastures. Many people also go out to study abroad because particular study areas they are looking at is not available in this country. But like I said, most people it's more about greener pastures, the opportunity to study, and then after that get a job and stay and work abroad.
All right, so let me get some more details here. I mean, we engaged Professor Echia in the early part of the day, and he's raising some questions about, our educational system, some of the subjects that we do not have here in our system. Primarily, do you think it is time, it's a wake-up call for us to relook at our educational system, reconsider some of the courses that would not probably make people think about having those programs out of the country?
Yes, so if you look at the two reasons why that I have given that people do study abroad, key amongst them is particular courses that students need to study that they don't get to study in the country. And these are specific areas that need a lot of investment. And it will be good for government to invest, private sector to invest, industry to invest in these areas so that we can have a lot of our people deciding to study in the country.
So I want to find out finally from you. I mean, as the NUC's president, we know you have a key stakeholder role you play. I mean, with this issue cropping up, with visa issues, especially with the United States of America, how are you looking at supporting government to intervene in this situation and ensure that maybe the right thing is done?
We have been a strong advocate for many years, advising and educating our members to ensure that whenever they go out to study, they should return on time. As a matter of fact, even for those who have the opportunity to stay there legally, it is usually our hope that they return so that they can build our motherland. Other countries are nice because their citizens are there working to build their motherland, and we must also look at our part. Secondly, also, we are also hoping and praying that our economy would improve and education would no longer be a conduit by which people will wish to travel out of the country to seek greener pastures. And if the economy improves to the point where it's supposed to be, we will be able to make sure that our youth will stay in this country and study with us.
All right, Daniel Butcher. Daniel Butcher is NUC's president. We're grateful for your time this evening, joining us to speak to the U.S. visa restriction currently on us. Hitherto, it was 5-year multiple, now a single entry, 3 months. And obviously, it is affecting some students in there. Well, most probably, we're shortly going to bring you some updates from our world of business right away.
The business segment.
All right, so let's do business at this moment. The Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Emmanuel Amakofi-Boa, has issued a 7-day ultimatum to Azuma Resources and engineers and planners to resolve matter concern over the escalating tensions between the two mining-related entities and their increasing media engagements. Here are details of a letter written to the two entities and copied to the Deputy Lands Minister and Chief Executive Officer of the Minerals Commission. And here it says, I refer to your earlier correspondence in respect of the above subject matter, as well as the various press releases and public statements that have since been issued concerning the dispute. Well, in light of the circumstances, I have decided to grant the parties a final period of 7 days within which to resolve the matter amicably. Should this period elapse without a mutually agreed resolution, a decision shall be taken in the best interest of the country. So yes, this directive has been shared with the two companies and they are expected to resolve their differences in a matter of 7 days. Copy to the Deputy Lands Minister and Okay, so the letter goes on to say, and I beg your pardon on that one, I strongly urge all parties to refrain from addressing this matter through the media and instead focus on constructive dialogue and responsible engagement. Consequently, the Minerals Commission is directed to facilitate and support the parties in resolving their differences in order to ensure the timely commencement of the project. So yes, those are some details to the company in there. We'll do some more business stories, and here Dr. GHOne Appiah, head of missions at the Commonwealth Enterprise and Investment Council and board member of the Commonwealth Human Rights Office Africa, has mounted a spirited defense for convicted former Chief Executive Officer of the Capital Bank, William Atuasian, while shedding light on the circumstances surrounding ACN's involvement in Capital Bank and the Bank of Ghana's liquidity support. He said Atuasian did not steal any money. Well, the convicted William Atuasian was jailed 15 years in hard labor after failing to pay his first installment of the 20 million Ghana cedis to the state on April 28th deadline by the court. But speaking at a press conference in Accra, Dr. Appiah said many factors influenced his decision to admit the offense.
Some of us have experienced times when we're tired, we're angry, we're hungry, or we're scared. And we end up making decisions that cost us a lifetime. I was not in Atu's head. I have seen the evidence. If I was by his side or I was whispering in his ears, I would have told him not to accept the plea bargain. When you believe you're correct and you have the right information, posterity will exonerate you. I think he himself has probably regretted that decision that he made. But we're not there to know what he was offered or what he was promised. You know, we are living here, going back to our friends and our families and colleagues. We don't know how it feels like when you've been separated from people you love for a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks and people have betrayed you. We don't know how it feels like to be in that position or be in someone's head. So it's very difficult for me to say why he made that decision. I don't think it was the right decision, but he's the only one who can tell us why he made that decision. And I think when he comes out, he will tell us.
All right, so in more stories, Minister for Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration, Samuel Okudzeto Ablekuma, has expressed grave concerns over the insufficient budgetary allocation to key commitments of the African Union in its 2026 budget. While speaking at the 47th Ordinary Session of the African Union ongoing in Malabo, Equatorial Guinea, the Foreign Minister criticized the $1.2 million allocation to the African Continental Free Trade Area. I'm talking about AFTA, describing it as highly insufficient. Well, he emphasized that AFTA must be taken more seriously as it is a key solution to boosting intercontinental trade.
If you look at the allocation to the African Continental Free Trade Area, only $1.2 million. This remains the most important tool to attain the economic emancipation that has eluded us over the decades. And Africa remains the poorest continent, whereas the irony is that we are the most blessed in terms of the natural resources, in terms of human capacity. And we know that it is the lack of intra-Africa trade which has held us back. We are doing below 20%. And if we must really be serious about trading amongst ourselves and emancipating our people from the shackles of poverty and underdevelopment, then we should take the African Continental Free Trade Area more seriously than we are taking. And Ghana is not the least impressed about the allocation, and we think that something has to be done more significantly to show real commitment, because that is what the young people of our country really are looking forward to. They want opportunities, they want jobs, they want us to industrialize. so that they do not have to perish as they seek greener pastures outside the continent.
All right, so that's all about it for business for tonight. Very shortly, Benghazi joins me with the latest from our world of sports. And tonight, we highlight sports and alcohol. We'll be back shortly with more.
The Business Brief was brought to you by CompuGhana, passion for technology.
Plans to regulate the advertisement of alcoholic stuff in sporting events in Ghana. The MP for the Boom constituency believes it is time to find a way to accommodate alcoholic beverages companies without endangering kids.
I have engaged Foods and Drugs Authority on this because whilst we are doing that, the very young ones, we don't want to watch these alcoholic beverages being advertised during sporting activities or show, are watching DSTV that shows all kinds of alcoholic beverages that
Jennifer Kujo may fill that for the Black Queen. The game is on tomorrow. Best of luck to the team out. That's it for sports.
All right, so thank you very much, Benghazi, for all those updates, from our world of sports. Let's bring you some more here. And here, GHOne News' Isaac Abela is part of 10 journalists across Ghana selected for the 2025 edition of the Next Generation Investigative Journalists. That's the NGIJ Fellowship by Media Foundation for West Africa. Well, this year's fellowship, which runs from July to September, aims to equip 10 early mid-career journalists with the skills to uncover and report on issues around illicit financial flows. Illicit financial flows are a growing canker in the West Africa.